Coming up on our news weekend, police with a number of new investigations on their hands tonight, including the country's fourth and fifth homicides. One man is gunned down off Kemp Road this morning, and just hours later, a woman is shot off Meadow Street. Plus, the decomposed remains of an infant is discovered off Golden Isles Road. And later, getting back to our roots, the Bahamas National Trust hosting a bush tea event, passing on the knowledge of Bahamian traditions. These stories and so much more as our news weekend starts now. This is our news weekend. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard. Back-to-back shootings today, leaving multiple families in mourning and officers of the police force with 2 additional homicide investigations. Shortly after 3 p.m. this afternoon, officers alerted media to a shooting off Meadow Street. While details are limited at this time, we understand the country's 5th murder victim is a woman. She died at the hospital. Now, this latest victim is the 2nd female to be gunned down for 2025. The first female victim was shot to death in Nassau Village on January 16th. Our news will provide additional details on this Meadow Street shooting as they become available from police. Now, just hours before that shooting, a man was gunned down shortly before 10 a.m. in the Cooper's Terrace area off Kemp Road. Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Shira King says ShotSpotter technology alerted police to multiple shots being discharged in the area.
They discovered an adult male with what appeared to be gunshot wounds, multiple gunshot wounds about the body. When the body was examined by EMS, no signs of life was noted. The initial reports indicate that the victim had just arrived at the residence when occupants, masked, exit the vehicle and opened fire on the victim.
The press liaison tight-lipped on additional information as the investigation is in its early stages. However, she confirmed that the car used in this incident is a light-colored Japanese vehicle. She is appealing to the public to come forward with any information that may assist.
Is this victim known to police based on the information that we're getting on the ground?
At this present time, I cannot comment on that.
Is he a resident of the area, of the home, sorry?
He's not a resident of this home.
You said adult male. Do you have any age range you can give us?
At this present time, I cannot give you that information.
He's not a resident.
He's not a resident. Why exactly was he visiting this area, this particular home?
I can't say. I can't say.
Was he being monitored?
That too, I cannot comment on at this time.
We're getting information that the victim was reportedly connected to a criminal organization. Could you speak to that?
I cannot comment on that at this time. We are in the initial stage of the investigation.
Meantime, police have another investigation on their hands that's sending shockwaves through concerned Bahamians. Shortly after 5 p.m. Saturday, officers alerting media to the discovery of remains found off Golden Isles Road. But what makes this discovery so disturbing? Press Liaison Chief Superintendent Shira King telling media the remains are believed to be that of an infant.
Officers were dispatched and they discovered what is believed to be the remains of a decomposed infant. We're urging and pleading to the surrounding community and the Bahamian public at large, if they have any information that can assist in this investigation, to please contact any of their local police stations. We are in the initial stage of this investigation, as well as the sensitive nature of this incident. We ask that you allow the police to do a thorough investigation, and once information is obtained, further updates will be provided.
Police are also investigating the alleged drowning of a male infant at a home on Curtis Road in Gambier Village. Police say they were alerted after 11 a.m. on Saturday. Early reports tell us the child was discovered unresponsive in a bucket of water sometime after 10 a.m. And despite attempts at CPR, he remained unresponsive. The infant was transported to the hospital where resuscitation efforts were also unsuccessful. The infant was pronounced dead and investigations are ongoing. The government is in the advanced stages of digitizing the entire healthcare system. That's according to Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville. Darville says the digitization will include an e-clinical record, pharmaceutical services, dialysis, and more. Healthcare workers in the public healthcare system are sometimes forced to sift through files when dealing with patients. This move to digitization will now make the process easier and ultimately shortens the time you spend waiting to be seen by a doctor.
I have an IDB loan facility where currently there is up to 16 professionals who are leading the charge for digitization in the Ministry of Health. We have been progressing very well, and we are very close to our e-clinical records. We're very close for digitizing records at the Department of Public Health as well as the Princess Margaret Hospital.
In fact, Darville says health officials will be having a meeting to address the issue. He says more than a dozen consultants are on board assisting with this mission.
We are in collaboration with the PMH, the PHA, the Rand Memorial Health Services, as well as the Department of Public Health, where through our platforms we will be able to communicate and to have access to medical information both at the primary and tertiary healthcare levels.
Meantime, the Customs Department is ahead of revenue projections, according to Acting Comptroller Ralph Monroe. You may recall that back in July 2024, Financial Secretary Simon Wilson said not only did the Customs Department bring in $13 billion last fiscal year, its fiscal target was also exceeded. And that's thanks to a crackdown on smuggling rings. At the time, he said the number was achieved by closing a lot of the big revenue leaks in the Customs Department that led back to smuggling. Well, this past Friday, while speaking on the sidelines of a prayer breakfast to highlight World Customs Day, Monroe said that in the past 2 months, the Customs Department raked in over $250 million.
That's unheard of. In December alone, we did 119 million, and in November, we did 136 million plus. And that is because of the work of our people throughout the country, not just here in New Providence. Every single port in the country have gone well and beyond the targeted projection that they had.
And some good news for the island of Grand Bahama as a new fire truck out of New Providence arrived on island Saturday morning. Assistant Commissioner of Police Avardo Dame says this newest arrival is in keeping with the Commissioner's commitment to safety. Dame's also providing some clarity on additional trucks in the fleet.
Commissioner Knowles has promised to deliver a fire truck to Grand Bahama. And today I am pleased to report that Commissioner Knowles has delivered on a promise. A fire truck is in Grand Bahama and ready for service. The other fire engines are in the process of being repaired, and they shall be repaired to have additional resources on Grand Bahama Island.
Well, while it may be tucked away in the quiet North Andros community, the Bahamas Agricultural Marine Science Institute, known locally as BAMSI, is still churning in North Andros. And officials say enrollment is up following a successful fall semester. The school, which seeks to equip residents with the necessary skills to help grow their own food, is reminding residents that its doors are still open and, in fact, cheaper than you might actually think it is. Our Joshua Williams reports.
The Bahamas Agricultural Marine Science Institute says things are looking up for the institution this new year. Based in North Andros, the tertiary education facility seeks to teach and empower Bahamians of all ages how to specialize in the fields of agriculture and marine sciences. President of the institution, Dr. Ravina Roberts-Hanna, says things are looking good as enrollment is up.
This spring semester, we are on point. We have nearly 200 students enrolled in BAMSI. As a matter of fact, we're still receiving applications institutions. And so, again, we don't say no to anyone because you can learn a skill, you can get a degree, you have to feed ourselves, right? And so we are in that business of really empowering people through education and training. So we're really excited.
Right now, this school is hybrid, offering both online and in-person classes, something Dr. Robert Hanner says has helped both the students and school.
We've actually seen an increase. If I can say one good thing about the pandemic is that it really brought people into realization that we really need to feed ourselves. And so the interest has grown since then, and we've been able to create a lot of curricula to really accommodate the different types of learners that we have, because we have persons who can do the full-time as well as part-time, those who are engaged otherwise through job, so we're able to really help them and accommodate their learning as well.
And while many residents may shy away from the institution, here's something that might change your mind.
BAMSI, we are part of the Bahamas government tertiary grant, and so what that means is that there's free tuition. I will say that again, free tuition at BAMSI for those who are eligible. And then, of course, there's a minor fee for room and board, but that too is subsidized. So again, I must congratulate all the administrations who've really supported this in making education affordable to the Bahamian people.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
Thanks so much, Joshua. Well, junior junkionists around the country, your time is fastly approaching. Officials say all systems are go ahead of the annual parade that will be held next Thursday on Bay Street beginning at 6 p.m. Culture Officer and Junkionu Coordinator Ellery DeVoe says with just about a week to go, schools are making final preparations ready to throw it down on Bay just like their senior counterparts.
Man, listen, these schools are ready. We have over 27 schools, rounded off to 30, with some fun categories. So we have preschools, we got primary schools, junior high schools, senior schools, and all-age schools.
Tickets are expected to go on sale Monday after schools do their number drawing. There will also be the introduction of what's called the Junkionu Alumni.
That's a new thing with the ministry, well, a private group of persons who came along and wanted all the schools to be a part of Junkionu. So what they did, they encouraged schools who haven't participated in junior Junkionu in so long to come back. So what they did, the schools that are in junior Junkionu, like for instance, we have C.I. Gibson who haven't participated from when I was in school, and that's over 25+ years.
When Our News Weekend comes back from the break, families of all murdered victims breaking ground for a housing and shelter project. We've got the details on the potential impact for victims in need. Plus, supporting communities throughout the nation. The Insurance Commission making a meaningful contribution to the Grand Bahama Children's Homes. That detail coming up when Our News Weekend returns.
When we gather big. When our audience expects more, deserves more, we show up even bigger. And when it's showtime, we deliver the greatest show on earth. Because our TV is everywhere, always there when it counts.
Ground has been broken for the families of all murdered victims housing and shelter project. With a $1 million budget, the project will be located on a 2-acre lot on Carmichael Road. Construction kicks off in just a couple of weeks, expected to begin the second week in February. The first phase is budgeted at $250,000, capable of housing 40 people and will feature portable showers. FOAM's president, Candy Gibson, tells us the organization's journey has been a long road and still developing to the needs of the community.
All I know is I had 2 brothers murdered and their children needed help. And I know once we were going through this, other person would have been going through the same thing me, my mom, and my family members felt. But God took it beyond just helping murder victims. He took it housing, he took it domestic violence, he took it to sheltering, and so FORM had to rebrand, whereas we don't just help murder victims, but our motto is making life easier for those in need and hurting amongst us.
And not only did some of the speakers choose to donate to Gibson during the ceremony, guests themselves also got up and made offerings and prayed over Gibson and her project. Gibson says that community involvement is critical.
It's very important because me one alone can't do this. It's a collective body that needs to do this. You understand me? I might have persons reach out to me daily for a family member, friend, for someone to stay, for a place to stay. And with that being said, we all have to put our hands and our resources right now in power to make this happen. So every hand on deck right now. No one's exempt from this. Every dollar counts.
Meantime, the Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boat Association, led by President Dr. Christine Shin, has shown its commitment to supporting cancer survivors with a significant contribution. During a press conference at the Cancer Society of the Bahamas on Friday, they presented an $8,000 check raised during the 3rd annual Bahamas Dragon Boat Festival.
This contribution reflects our unwavering commitment to supporting those affected by cancer in our community. As we approach the Lunar New Year on January 29th, next week Wednesday, we welcome the year of the wood snake. The year symbolizes wisdom, intuition, and transformation. The snake is known for its ability to shed its skin, representing renewal and growth.
And looking ahead, the president announced that the association is expanding its initiatives. Plans include welcoming more cancer survivor teams, involving youth, and taking the sport to international competitions in Canada and Germany. President of the Cancer Society of the Bahamas, Rochelle Wilkinson, celebrated the partnership and highlighted how this donation will support their ambitious projects, including future expansions.
This project will see an increase of rooms to be available to patients traveling from the Family Island who need accommodations, as well as providing daycare for Nassau residents who may need a quiet place after doing their treatment, somebody to assist them, provide a meal, hold their hand, just generally be there for those people as they go through those treatment sessions, as well as our long-term, very ambitious goal of one day providing hospice care.
And continuing in the spirit of giving, the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas made a meaningful contribution to the Grand Bahama Children's Home, donating $5,000 as part of its ongoing efforts to support communities throughout the nation. The donation is part of the Insurance Commission's larger philanthropic initiative outside of the capital. Insurance Commission Superintendent Dana Munnings-Gray emphasized the organization's dedication to making a positive impact.
Obviously looking at schools to educate our students about insurance, the importance of insurance and the insurance industry, as well as what we do at the Insurance Commission. So our presence here is just evidence of our commitment that we are now taking this outside of the borders of New Providence, not being Nassau-centric, and also looking to see how we could spread our wings in Grand Bahama, a place that we've identified as our next stop and our next office location.
Children's Home Executive Director June Hutchinson expressed gratitude for the donation and used the opportunity to call on others to lend a helping hand.
We at the Children's Home have children, as you know by now, that have been abused, abandoned, and neglected. And it takes, as I always say, the village to be able to assist. So the corporate sponsors out there, anybody who'd like to make any donation, whether monetary or in kind, we're always willing to have. These children have to be cared for.
All right, well, depending on who you ask, some may argue that true Bahamian culture is fading. Many that agree note traditional Bahamian practices are slowly diminishing. Well, tonight, the Bahamas National Trust is sharing how they continue to use education to protect our culture. Our Danielle Miller has that story.
People need to realize, go to the bush. It's going to heal you, and it's going to make your body like a living miracle again.
Former Androsian resident Latara Adderley shares the same sentiments as our ancestors, that our healing is in the trees. In an effort to assist preserve this culture and promote the conservation of native plants, the Bahamas National Trust hosting a native plant and bush tea event at the retreat on Village Road. Youth organizations, friends, Families and individuals not only getting the opportunity to sample the all-natural teas, but also getting a practical lesson of going into the bush.
So on our walk, we're going to point out native plants. We'll have our gamelame, mahogany, lignum vitae. We'll also be boiling today. We've got 5-finger, 3-finger, love vine, sweet Margaret is another one that we don't hear about often, but those are some that we'll have boiling today, and we'll have some hot, fresh tea for everyone.
When correctly prepared, this ancient art of tea is soothing to the taste buds and rejuvenating to the body.
You don't have to worry about plastics leaking into your tea from the tea bags. You don't have to worry about are these things organic? Do they have pesticides on them, right?
I had tonsil problems, and I used to take fibergrass, lemon tea, moringa, and they helped my health to improve. Right now, I feel much better. I'm not on a bunch of medications. I'm a living proof of what I'm showing bush teas is work.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Thanks so much, Danielle. Still to come on Our News Weekend, Applebee's is the newest restaurant on the block looking to be a family favorite. We'll tell you about their grand opening, but first,
we talk about Tanisha Cartwright's world-leading day next on Our Sports Weekend.
When the world bid a final farewell to Britain's longest reigning monarch, we were there. A moment of global solemnity that won't soon be forgotten. And when it was time to crown a new king in the first coronation in 50 years, Our News was there to the end. These stories shape our view of the world, a view that goes beyond our borders, because Our News is all around us. This is our story. This is Our News, always there when it counts.
Good evening, welcome to Our Sports Weekend. I'm Tage Adderley. Tanisha Cartwright's storied career at Minnesota State University ended last year, so tearing up the track is now her full-time job. She ran a world-leading time yesterday in Iowa. She ran unattached in the Larry Mazurek Invitational yesterday at the University of Iowa, winning the 60-meter hurdles in 7.78 seconds, a personal record that tied her for the world lead on the season, and it also qualified her for the Indoor World Championships in China in March. Cartwright's coming off a year where she won multiple Division II Woman Athlete of the Year awards and national titles and made an Olympic appearance. Now that she's graduated and devoted to track and field full-time, expect for the hardware and the records to keep on coming. We're going to talk about her more as her season progresses and she moves from indoor to outdoor. Now we get you caught up with Bahamians on the hardwood. We start in college where VJ Edgecombe is showing why he's a projected NBA lottery pick. He had 21.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and he showed his range, making 4 of 6 threes as his Baylor Bears beat Utah 76-61. Dayton Aubrey scored 6 points in his Utah State Aggies 87-58 blowout over Air Force. They're destroying everyone in the Mountain West, and they have an 18-2 record. And in the association, Eric Gordon scored 12 points with 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. His play has improved, and his Sixers are trying to turn a disappointing season around. They beat the Bulls 109-97 for their second straight win. Klay Thompson scored 6 points as Dallas Mavericks fell to the Boston Celtics 122-107, and Buddy Hield had 10 points as his Warriors lost to LeBron and the Lakers 118-108. And that'll do it for Our Sports Weekend. I'm Tage Adderley. Have a great week.
Thanks so much, Tage. On the other side of this break, meteorologist Ian McKenzie steps into the weather center. He's got a look at temperatures we can expect for the week ahead. Stick with us.
When we gather big. When our audience expects more, deserves more, we show up even bigger. And when it's showtime, we deliver the greatest show on earth. Because our TV is everywhere, always there when it counts.
Welcome back. It's time now for your Sunday evening look at temperatures across the country with meteorologist Ian McKenzie. Ian.
Thanks, Megan, and good evening, Bahamas. Thanks so much for joining us. Currently outside our studios, we're under mostly cloudy skies with a temperature of 69. Feels like the same comfortable temperatures. Winds are from the east-northeast at 10 miles per hour. Temperatures across the country, we have 67s in Freeport, Marsh Harbor, Allenstown at 70, as well as Nicholtown and in Governor's Harbor, a pair of 69s in Great Harbor Key and in the capital. Central Bahamas, we have 72s in Kemps Bay as well as Arthurstown, Kid Island, 74 in Georgetown, where we have that stalled frontal boundary, 76 in Deadman's Key, and 73 in Coburn Town. Southeast Bahamas, 77s in Duncantown, Delectable Bay, Colonel Hill, and in Abrahams Bay, Maguana, a pair of 78s in Providenciales and in Matthewtown in Agua. Satellite and radar imagery at this time, we still have this marine deck of clouds across the northwest Bahamas, and that is all associated with that stall out frontal boundary, expected to gradually drift further southeastwards and weaken through tomorrow. Boating forecast, high pressure still dominating. We still have those swells, still brisk winds, advisory in place for you small craft operators and swimmers as well, advising you to remain on shore. Winds northeast east 15 to 20, gusting high at times. Winds should begin to subside and swell the seas tomorrow. Seas 4 to 7 feet up to 8 feet in those north and northeasterly swells. Low tide at 11:26 p.m. tonight. High tide at 5:59 a.m. tomorrow morning. And in your extended forecast, beautiful conditions through most of the week. Stable, we're getting into the mid to upper 70s through most of the week, with the lows in the mid to upper 60s. That's a wrap in the evening forecast. Make it a great, safe, fun week, everyone.
Thanks so much, Ian. Well, there's a new spot to eat good in the neighborhood. Applebee's celebrating its official opening at Fusion Superplex this week. The restaurant features both indoor and outdoor dining, 3 bars decked in flat screen TVs, and seating 238 persons. Director of Operations Rayford Ramming shares his vision for the restaurant.
When you want to go to watch a sports event, a live sporting event, you usually have to go to the hotel or someplace in the, I guess, over the hill, for the lack of a better term. But now we're giving you the option to come to us, and we are a freestanding space that has, like I said, 32 to 42 televisions. That we have a video wall actually. Can go from 9 individual televisions to 1 huge television.
Vice President of Architecture and Design for Dine Brands, Don Roberts, the parent company for Caribbean Dining, says he's satisfied with the partnership with Fusion.
Well, this is the perfect combination. And when we set out to develop this particular concept, we wanted to make sure that we would create a place for everybody to be able to come and celebrate. And when you look at the atmosphere at Fusion as a theater destination, it made perfect sense to be able to bring a food brand like Applebee's and to couple it with a theater experience. And so we believe that we've created the perfect entertainment and food experience here in the Bahamas.
Definitely an experience to check out. And with that, we thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Have a safe and wonderful evening. Hey guys, Megan Shepard here. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Just click right over here. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you stay up to date with content like this from the team you already trust.